all right. What's going on, winners? This is Coach JC, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Win All Day podcast show. I am super excited. I'm bringing my man on the screen right now just because he has the prettiest shirt that I've ever had on a show as a guest, all the way from Florida. Let's go. That is the Floridian shirt. But before I do introduce our guest, this is my man, Ian. I cannot wait to introduce him. Hey, if you're a frequent listener, you know what time it is. Before we kick off every podcast, we believe at Win All Day that if you're going to live a life of winning, that you got to speak winning words, and there's power in your words. And so we kick every podcast off with our Win All Day winning confession. If it's your first time joining us, just repeat after me. Today is my day.
Today is my day.
Nothing will get in my way.
Nothing will get in my way.
Me being the best.
Of me being the best.
Of me.
Version of me.
Purpose.
Okay, you're cutting out, brother. I'm sorry. I am
here. I am here on purpose.
You're still in and out.
Oh, I am here on purpose.
I'm here on purpose.
I have a purpose.
I have a purpose.
I am strong.
I am strong.
I am passionate.
I am passionate.
I am fearless.
I am fearless.
I choose faith.
I choose faith.
I am a winner.
I am a winner.
I will win.
I will win. I'll win all day.
This is my man, Ian Prukner. How are you, brother?
I am amazing. I'm amazing, Coach JC. Thank you so much for inviting me. And dude, your excitement level is so high. I think it's literally distorting my computer speakers. It's going in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But man, listen, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here with your people, with your tribe, with your community.
Come on.
And it's an honor to call you friend. I just love your energy. You know, I believe people's energy introduces themselves before they introduce themselves, right? When we walk into a room, how we make people feel, that cue that we give off, it just sets the stage. And I just love your energy probably more than anybody else that I know. It introduces you in such a way, but I think it also introduces whose you are in such a way, right? That's pretty amazing. So thank you so much. I'm excited to talk about winning and to set some people free today to walk into the destiny that they were born for, that maybe they're caught up somewhere in the path, right? Somewhere in the process. And getting people from the process and the path to the promise today. So it's going to be amazing. I love it.
Dude, I'm so excited, man. I appreciate your kind words. I don't take that lightly, man. I live my life that way. So I'm honored that you witnessed that you brought that out today. And I'm glad we met. I believe in divine appointments, man. I believe we crossed paths at such a divine time for both of us. And now we've connected, we've become friends, and I was on your podcast. You're on mine. I just continue to do life with you. And I'm excited about that and seeing each other win and helping each other win. So, bro, I am excited to jump in and flash that ring real quick. Whoa. I've seen some Super Bowl rings. I've worked with pro athletes, NBA guys, collegiate. I don't think any of them, not even the NFL guys, have a ring that big, brother. Come on now.
It is pretty big. You know, it's everywhere I go. I rarely wear it out in public, right? Because everywhere I go, people just stare. Yeah. They're trying to figure out, who is this guy, right? Like, what did he play? And people will come up to you and say, what'd you play? And they're always disappointed when they realize I'm not an NFL player or an MLB player. They say, well, what's it for? I say, well, in one of the companies I run, when you earn $1 million a year in income, we'll give you a big old Super Bowl ring. And they're like all disappointed. They're like, oh, I thought you were an NBA player. And it just went like right over their heads. Like, dude, if you're willing to work, you're willing to learn, and you've got a good market of people, we'll train you with some of the best sales training on earth, and you can go and make enormous amounts of money. But it just, that they don't even realize that opportunity is talking to them. They just thought, hey, maybe I was going to meet a winner. Maybe I was going to meet somebody who is wealthy and famous, instead of have an opportunity to become somebody wealthy.
Come on, bro. Come on.
It's so funny, but I rarely wear it out in public because it does, they might cut off my finger or do something crazy for it. So
yeah, I mean, I had so many rings like that from working with teams and building championship teams at my collegiate, career as a strength coach. I think we have 14, and every time I put them on, I like to put them on. Sometimes we go out on date night. My wife's like, don't wear that big ring, because she knows everybody's gonna ask questions. But hey, let's jump in, brother. I'm super excited. Here's what I want to do. I want to kick the podcast off with, there's probably people listening that may have not heard or watching that may have never heard of you. So let's talk about Ian. Who is Ian? Where do you come from? How did we get to where we are today? And then we're going to get into to talking about winning, brother.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Well, again, I appreciate the opportunity. So I'm a normal guy, right? I'm a normal guy, just like everybody else, who found something he loved and went all in on it and changed his life. So, I've been a serial entrepreneur for the last 16 and a half years. Prior to that, I worked in the ministry full time, and I was a music pastor. I was a music director for a pretty large non-denominational church up in Michigan. And I love music. If any of you know musicians, right? If you know a musician that can make enough money to support themselves playing music, they're the happiest people on earth. And that was me, right? Like I wasn't rich, I wasn't famous, but I loved playing music. I loved the church, and I could survive sort of doing it. And so that was like my life. That's what I thought I would do for the rest of my life, was be in ministry. I got married at 21 to somebody I met in our college group. And we went into the full-time ministry. She worked for the church. I worked for the church. We spent our first anniversary as a pirate and a princess in a vacation Bible school play. Right? Come on. We were all in. Whatever we did, we do a lot, right? Prior to I don't drink at all. I don't care if other people drink, but I don't drink at all. And prior to my days, coming to faith at 19, I was like a professional drinker, you know what I mean? And so everything I do all the way. And people say, why don't you drink? I'm like, you don't want to see it. Okay. It's going to be intense. Well, that's how we were with the ministry. We love what we did. So I was the music director. She was the operations director, but man, we were with the kids, and we were with the youth, and we were at the college group, and we were on mission trip. We were doing it all, right? And it was amazing, and it was incredible, but we were poor, like a lot of people in ministry starting out. And so I had to teach music lessons on the side. I played in bands on the side. I would sing at weddings. I would sing at funerals, anything to make an extra $100, right? Because we were broke. And so we started working for this really large, very affluent church, right? We got a job offer there. We thought we hit the gold mine, right? We're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. We're going to finally start making what we're worth. And they were in the middle of a building project. They said, well, we know you want to be here. We have to start you here, but our goal is to get you there over a year. So we prayed about it. We felt led like we were supposed to be a part of that team and that group. So we took a job there, and we went to work, and we were surrounded by wealthy people. There were a bunch of the Detroit Lions went there, Red Wings. It was like a really cool place, but we were broke. And about 6 months in, I got a call from my boss. His name was Stephen King, not the author, right? But his name was Stephen King, and he's from Tulsa. You might know him. So he was the operations guy who managed my wife and everybody else. And he called me into my office, and I thought for sure he'd seen all the extra we were doing, and I'd be getting this raise that they had told me I was going to get 6 months early. They told me they'd start me here. I'd be here within a year. 6 months, I thought, man, they've been seeing it's going to be amazing. I'm walking by my wife's desk. I'm giving her the thumbs up. I'm like, we going to Applebee's tonight. I know that raise coming is going to be amazing. And he sits me down in the office. And immediately I knew something was wrong. I don't know if you've ever been in a meeting where somebody's going to like drop a bomb on you, but you can tell the environment, the energy, like we were talking about. Yeah. It's just different. I didn't know what I walked into, but I know it wasn't going to be good. And he looked at me, he said, Ian, I don't know how to tell you this, but we're having trouble right now with our building loan. We're behind on it. And effective immediately, we're cutting everybody's pay by 10%. And we're not sure if and when we'll be able to make it up to you, but I'll try to get you some time off so you can make money outside. I'm like, I'm already working 3 other jobs, bro, right? Like, I don't need more time to make money outside. I need to be okay here. And so I was making 30 grand a year. I was supposed to be making 40. I was making 30. I got a 10% pay cut, 3 grand, right? That's $250 a month. And we did our math. We went through our bills, and we were going to be about $200 a month negative, car payment negative. And so my radar went up, like, what can I do to make a couple of $100 a month, right? On the side, that's not another job. And so the best thing that I came up with was I was going to be a night manager at Rite Aid. I don't know if you have Rite Aids where you are, but they're like convenience stores. So I was going to work 3 midnights a week for $14.55 an hour. And that after taxes was going to make up that default, that amount that we were short, the deficit. And so that's what I was going to do. And about a month later, my boss, Stephen, walks into the church one day. He says, "Hey, are you still trying to make some extra money?" I said, "Well, with all due respect, you see what you pay me here, right? That is the dumbest question you've ever asked me. Of course, I'm looking to make money, right? Like, bro, like I'm literally in poverty here, right? Like yes." And he says something that changes my life. He says, "There's this guy that goes to the church and he does this thing." That's what he calls it. He says, "He does this thing and you could do it part-time and you'd probably be good at it. You'd probably be good at it. You should talk to him." So I figured, well, I couldn't make any less than I'm making here. So I call this guy up. I said, "Hey, I don't know you, but you know me. You see me on stage every Sunday. And Stephen told me you might have an opportunity, right?" And so he says, "Yeah, sure. Why don't you come by the house?" I was like, "Okay, when?" He's like, "How about in an hour?" I'm like, "All right, fine." So I pull up to this guy's house. No joke. He's got this castle-looking home on a lake, right? So like, my parents still live in the same 900 square foot house I grew up in, right? Like nobody had any money. We didn't come from any money. And I pulled up to this guy's house, and Coach JC, no lie, I'm like, if this guy's not selling drugs to kids, I don't care what he's doing. I'm in. I saw an opportunity, right? Like, here's a guy that apparently knows something about making money that I am devoid of, and I need to study from this man. And so he showed me what it was. It was in the financial world. And my thought was, I've got to be smart enough to make a couple of $100 a month doing this. Half of what this guy's telling me is true. I've got to be smart enough to do that. And so I started with him. I started mentoring under him, and I made like $1,000 a month part-time my first 4 months doing it. I was rich. It was like I only needed 200.
Yeah.
I got 1,000. I'm like, I'm in the money, right?
Yeah.
I never had a desire to be in business full-time. Again, I always thought I would be in the ministry. And another series of things happened at the church. They were in some more financial trouble, and we ended up having another sort of issue like that. And I thought, my gosh, if a church isn't going to take care of me, I need to take care of me. And in that moment, I became psychologically unemployable, right? And I think that that's an important thing for people to understand. Like, look, nobody's going to take care of you like you're going to take care of you. Nobody's going to fight for your family like you're going to fight for your family. Nobody's going to breathe fire onto your dream like you're going to breathe fire onto your dream. And so I made a decision that I was going to step out and leave my health insurance and leave the little bit of stable money I did have. And then I was going to go into business full time. And so 6 months later, I did that. I went into business full time, and our first year full time, we made $100,000, which to me was like, it was the world. I couldn't imagine, right? Like my take home pay, Coach JC, at the church after taxes and insurance was $1,850 a month, right? I'm making $10,000 a month and then $20,000. I mean, I couldn't imagine it. But fast forward a few years later, right? We were making in excess of $1 million a year, completely residually, had time and money freedom. And it was absolutely amazing. And I would look back and say, oh my gosh, like I just couldn't believe it. But the day I went full time in that business and I left the church, I thought everybody was going to support me. And I was sorely mistaken. And I had all sorts of people who were my friends, like some of my closest friends, like, dude, you're making a mistake. You'll be back. It's not going to work out. You don't know what you're doing. Be careful. You don't love God anymore. All you care about is money.
Yeah.
And dude, it was like one of the most hard days of my life, because I've got this dream. I've got this vision. I think, man, I'm going to change my life. And simultaneously, like all the people I care about are telling me this is a mistake. Don't do it. And I can remember, fast forwarding a few years later, we're making all this money, and we opened this orphanage in India. We've opened a few of them at this point, but we opened this orphanage in India, and it was like $28,000 to do that. And as I was handing my friend who ran that missions group a check for that, it was like this moment where I was brought back. It was like this, like right back into that church office the day that I was leaving, because on the inside, not out loud, but on the inside, when I was taking all that persecution and I was getting ready to walk out of that church office for the last time, on the inside, I felt God tell me, like, Ian, one day you're going to be able to give away more every year than you make every year right now. Trust the path I have for you and take this step. And as I handed this check for 28 grand to this girl who ran this incredible mission, by the way, they're doing incredible work But it was like I was brought back to that moment in that church office, walking out and thinking back and remembering I was making 27 grand when I left there. I couldn't barely afford to pay for my food. Like we would sift through bags of $3 for $7 ravioli in the big freezer pits at Meyer, looking for the $3 for $5 bags because we couldn't afford the extra $2. And it was like brought me back to that moment. Like, God, you're so good. Like I was just a kid with a dream and tired of being broke. And that promise you told me inside on that day when I made that decision, it's come to fruition, right? And so fast forward, we ended up selling that business. We had a pretty sizable exit from that business. We've started a number of other businesses that are doing phenomenally well. And it's really been an incredible opportunity to influence and impact a lot of people, to help lead a lot of people into creating a better life for themselves, their family, their community, the people and the causes that they care about. And we're just getting started. We're really just warming up. I feel like it's a first act. I feel like there's something coming in my life that's going to dwarf the size of anything that we've been a part of before. And we've been a part of so many amazing things. I don't know if you ever feel that way, but it's just something I feel so strong on the inside. And so I'm excited. So that's a little bit of our story, dude. I was a nobody. I was tired of being sick and tired. I was tired of my current circumstance, and I was willing to learn and take a chance on myself. Right. And that's it.
Love it, man. Ian, thanks for sharing that. And guys, if you're just joining us, this is Coach JC. You're listening to the Win All Day podcast show. This is my man, Ian Prukner, who is a best-selling author. We'll get into that. Absolute serial entrepreneur and now a consultant. Guys, listen, I hope you're taking notes today because you're listening to a gentleman, a friend of mine, that has built seven-figure, but also 8- and 9-figure businesses in different industries, from finance to real estate to e-commerce, and even intellectual property space. So guys, listen to me. Even at an exit, okay, of a business which he talked about, including that's a multiple 8-figure exit. Okay, so we're talking to Ian right now, and he's in his obviously Floridian shirt down in the Keys of Florida, baby.
I didn't realize I'd be bothering you so much with it.
I love it. I love it. I want one. I want one. I love it.
I will send you one, bro.
I love it. I
send you this one. But it just ripped. It would rip to shreds. I've got to find out where I got it and send you one. It's a little big.
I love it. I love it. And he's married, 3 children, and he's doing big things, impacting the world. Yeah, let's jump in. You said so many powerful things in just taking us back and telling us a little about your story. But I think we resonate on so many levels, brother, because I was the strength coach at Oral Roberts University, ORU, here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was making $32,000 a year. And I was in a custody battle fighting to be dad. Like you, ministry, you were in ministry. You loved what you did. Strength and conditioning, I loved what I did, but I couldn't survive. And so there's times and there's seasons. And so I want you to talk about something, because you said a lot of powerful things, but let's jump into this. I believe that a big part of winning, a big part of success is your mindset. Right. And so what were you going through at that time? What's some of the things that you could recall that you said, I had to overcome some of these limiting beliefs, right? Obviously, in the Christian world, the faith-based world, we hear you took persecution, right? And you heard a lot of things like making money is wrong, I'm not supposed to prosper, and all these crazy things, right? What were some of the limiting beliefs that you had, and where you remember where all of a sudden maybe it's that $1,000 check came in and you said, whoa, because I believe this, every obstacle that we face in life, and if you're listening right now, we want Ian, myself and Ian want you to grasp onto this. If you're facing an obstacle, there is an opportunity within that obstacle. And I think that's what's so powerful right now. You face this low time, desperation, $200 in the hole. But if you never did, you would have never been presented this opportunity. So what were some of the limiting beliefs at that time mentally, and some of the things that you had to adopt, principles you had to adopt to get to that next level and overcome, brother?
And I think that that's so good that you talk about that, because I always tell people that the pain you're going through has a purpose.
Come on.
It is not there void of something for your benefit, period. Yep. Right? And I 100%, what's interesting is somebody approached me with that same opportunity 9 months before.
Wow.
And I didn't have a pay cut and I was doing okay. And so you know what I told that guy? No. Thanks. Not interested. It literally, I can look back and say, without that shift, without God removing my comfort zone and putting me in a position where I needed to make the change, I would not have made the change. And I think that's so powerful because there's people listening right now, there's people watching right now, and they're going through something that they don't understand. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not good. It is painful.
Yeah.
On anything they've ever gone through. And they're wondering why. What did I do to deserve this?
Yeah.
And I promise you, 10 years from now, you will look back on that moment as preparation for a path that you would not have pursued without that pressure.
Come on.
And that was my life. So let's talk about the limiting beliefs. So listen, prior to starting to work in the ministry, I got saved at 19. At a little storefront church, 40 people there. I mean, totally random, right? Okay. And God changed my life in a big way. I'm an all-in sort of person, right? Okay. And I was all in the wrong direction. So Coach JC, listen, I was a serial quitter. I quit everything that I ever did. I was one of those guys that was a jack of all trades and the master of none. I was a quick study. I could pick things up quickly, but when they got hard, when the natural talent was no longer enough, and now I had to grind it out, I just abandoned it and I'd go do something else, and I'd be great at that really quickly. And then I'd get to this wall and then I'd leave it. So I was a serial quitter. I would sleep till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like literally, like I was just lazy. There's no other way to put it. I was lazy. When we first got married, prior to me taking the job at the first church, I was teaching music lessons. Okay. That was my job. And my wife would get up, we were newly married, and she would go to work and I'd still be in bed. She'd come home for lunch and I would still be in bed, and I'd get up and I'd have lunch with her. And then I'd take a nap on the couch until 3 o'clock. And then I drive into the music store and teach music lessons because kids, like, I was lazy. I quit everything. I was 30 pounds overweight. I mean, I was not happy. I had lost some of the confidence that I had coming up. And so, you know, I was not like this specimen of great discipline and great self-belief. I really lacked a lot of that. And as I started growing in my faith, I began to get God's vision for my life. I began to look at God's identity for my life instead of my identity. And I began to listen to some of these promises and say, well, dang, my life doesn't match those promises right now. And so that's me living devoid of the principle that allows me to have that promise. So I started studying God's word and studying his principles, and that changed a lot. It changed a lot in me to a point. But to get back to your point about limiting beliefs, you know, one of the things I struggled with a lot was did God want me to be wealthy? Did God want me to make money? There's a lot of teaching in the church world where you shouldn't want those things. You shouldn't have nice things. You shouldn't pursue wealth. And I really had to dig down deep and get an understanding of what that was, right? And scripture taken out of context becomes a context, right? It can be, listen, you want to have 28 wives and kill 3 people down the street, you can find some scripture to support that. Like you could go back into the Old Testament, look hard enough, and you got yourself one or two texts out of context that'll let you do whatever you want, right? And so I had to mature in my understanding of God. And the biggest thing that I saw is that God does not mind you having money. He just doesn't want money to have you, or anything else for that matter, right? God doesn't want you to serve. You can't serve 2 masters, God and money, right? Okay. But substitute money for anything else. God and social media likes, God and vanity, God and fame, God and an unhealthy obsession with physical fitness, God and an unhealthy relationship with somebody of the opposite sex where they become your everything, right? It's God doesn't want other things in his place. And as long as you are mastering money, then money doesn't master you. But I had to overcome that. I was afraid that I would change somehow. That money would make me different. I had to figure out that money doesn't change people. It exposes them.
Come on.
Something you're not, it just exposes what you already are. And so instead of being afraid of like, am I going to turn into a monster? Let's just not be a monster. Right? Let's get that part down first, and then you don't got to worry about it. You know, I had all these sorts of limiting beliefs. You can't take it with you. And it's like, okay, but that's a pretty selfish way to live, because I can leave it to the people I love and the causes I care about. It doesn't excuse me from not using my giftings and my abilities to create value in the market. I had to learn all of those things. So man, listen, I was like the poster child of limiting beliefs around my own skill sets, my own competencies, whether I was good enough. My God, Coach JC, for the first 18 months of business, I was probably making $180,000 a year at this time, which at that time was a lot of money, right? In Detroit Metro, the middle of a recession, I was making $27K a year. Is a lot of money. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and think, I don't know where I'm going to get one more client from. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this going. Like literally for years, I doubted whether I was good enough to do it, good enough to keep doing it. If it was a fluke, you know what I mean? Like I dealt with all of that. But that's one of the things that made me so powerful as a leader, as I overcame that, I could connect with people that suffered and struggled with the same things. And I had sort of built a framework that had helped me to overcome it, and I could teach it to other people. And that exploded our teams that we led, because everybody's got those things. I think everybody inside secretly wonders, like, am I good enough?
Yeah.
Do I have what it takes? They compare and say, I'm not like this person. I'm not like that person. I don't have Coach JC's energy. I don't have Ian's this. And we, and we let our limitations become our identity.
Come on.
Right. And we can't simultaneously overcome and defend our limiting beliefs. So I had them all, and I've overcome a lot of them, and I still have a bunch that I'm working on.
Man, that's powerful, man. You said so many powerful things in there, Ian, and I don't want to miss this. If you're listening right now, I don't want you to miss the part that Ian said, because very similar to my life, I shifted my perspective, Ian, when I started to understand that the adversity was actually on my side, right? We've heard all the old sayings like, hey, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. But I'll never forget, I was at a Tony Robbins event, and he put a formula up there, and it said E plus R equals O. And I remember like, what is this? What is going on? What are we learning? And he started to explain the power behind that second letter, which is the R, the response. And the E stands for event, right? We can't always control the events, the circumstances, the trials, the storm, the adversity, the things that happen in life. A lot of those things are out of our control. But a lot of times we miss the most powerful part. We've heard it said before, you can't control what happens in life, but you control how you respond, the R. And if you want to control the outcome, how it turns out, the only thing you can focus on is the now, the response of you. And so if you're listening right now and you're facing adversity, like winners win, not because they somehow skip or avoided the trials and challenges of life. You're hearing somebody, listen, guys, you're talking to somebody very successful at a very high level, not just in business, not just exiting businesses here, Ian, but winning in other areas of life. He wins, and winners win because they develop a skill set, I should say, that allows them to overcome in the midst of the trials and the storms and the challenges that they face in life. And they know that was there to serve me. And I adopted a simple philosophy, Ian, when I was broke, $400,000 in debt, suicidal, that it had to happen. And I remember telling myself it had to happen. It's all here on purpose. And because of this thing right here, whatever it is in life that you're facing right now, because of this, something good will happen. Listen, if you believe in the word of God, like you and me are talking about, then we know that all things work together for good, not some things, not just what we see in the natural. And so you said so many powerful things, Ian, but have you ever heard that formula, that E plus the R equals the O?
I have, and it's interesting here. Let's dive into this, because I'm going to give you a formula of my own here that I think will add some color to that formula, because you're exactly right. Well, the event is happening. How we respond to that event creates our outcome, right? Ultimately, it comes down to how we think, right? Like what you're talking about. You and I believe that all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to their purposes. Not some things, not this thing over here, but this one's exempt. All things. That is all encompassing.
Come on.
If you really believe that, then when you are facing adversity, you don't use it as a reason to quit. You use it as a reason to recommit. You say, this is not fair. It's not good, but this is here for a reason. And so I'm going to keep looking for the good because I know it's in here somewhere. And just that belief system, that one thing can totally shift how you respond, right? Because so many people, they encounter some opposition. They have a challenge, a setback, and they think, well, maybe God doesn't want me to do this. Right? Because I read in First Quitters 2:2, if it's not easy, God doesn't want you to do it. Right? Okay. That's in there. Right? Okay. First Quitter. Okay. But there are people who think that because their belief is not the other thing. Their belief is not all things work together for my good. Their belief is if something is not happening right, then God doesn't want me to do it. And so in my book, I wrote about a formula called T-BAR: thoughts, beliefs, actions, results. And all of life is following this format. What we think about long enough and emotionally engagingly enough eventually becomes a belief. It moves from our conscious thought to our subconscious belief. We accept it as true, and our beliefs we then act on. We act on our beliefs always, whether whether they're accurate or not, whether we are aware of it or not. We are acting on our beliefs, and ultimately our results are a byproduct of our actions, right? And so many people, Coach JC, that they're trying to change their results. I want to make more money. I want to lose weight. I want to get in a better relationship. And so what they start trying to change is they start trying to change their action. And that would make sense because the action is the most directly correlated to the result, right? If we want to lose weight, we probably got to take in fewer calories. We probably got to expend some more. And so what do? We get on a diet. We go to the gym. We start changing at the action level. The problem with changing at the action level is what you were doing before is not there by itself. It's a byproduct of what you believed before. It's a byproduct of what you thought before. And so if you don't change what allowed you to get out of shape, if you don't change the way you believe about yourself and your body image and your self-worth, okay, and how you value health, then you might change your diet for a week or a month or a few months. You might get in the exercise. You might do 75 hard. Okay. But at the end, then what?
Yeah.
You're still who you were before, and you'll go back to where you were before. And so it's so interesting that you're talking about the E plus O plus R equals O, right? Because ultimately that is if we break it down even further, our response is a byproduct of what we think and what we believe. That's our response, right?
It's huge, man. Ian, I love that formula. Thoughts, beliefs, actions equal results. Like, think about, like, I remember when I was at my lowest point, Ian, and I was reading, I was sitting in Bible school and I was suicidal, depressed, didn't want to be there. And there was one thing that resonated with me, and it was this professor, this Bible teacher that was teaching Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And as he's teaching it, he just had a very, it was from a spiritual level, but he had a very practical perspective he put behind it. And he talked about how, God is not the one that's going to renew your mind for you. You have to. And there's things you have to do in the natural. And if you start to do these things, these are promises that you could take a hold of. And so I was so desperate. I said, might as well give this a chance, right? And so I started to learn how to renew my mind. And I started to get so obsessed, bro, with the mindset and understanding, wait a second, this is really the answer to winning. This is where everything originates. Like you talked about thoughts, it starts here. And so I started studying psychology at school. I started getting, Tony Robbins and life coaching certifications, and it changed my life. And so I tell people this all the time because I think it's so powerful. It's probably it's one of the things we have control over, right? But 90% of people do not train their mindset, right? And think about it. You just said every action originates with a thought. You can change your result, the outcome, but it starts with the root. So many times we want to treat the symptom, and this is why you see the old school Biggest Loser, a TV show. They lose 100 pounds, they come back and they put it all back on. 75 hard, you see it all the time. I love Andy Priscilla, and it's a great program, changed a lot of lives. But what happens after 75 days? And so I think what you said is so powerful, and I want to stay there for a second because we can get so caught up, Ian, that we don't know the outcome. We're not promised. We don't know tomorrow. Tomorrow's a mystery. I tell people this all the time. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, but today's a gift. And that's why we call it the present. And if you could just learn how to own the moment in the present, we get so caught up, we don't know the outcome. And so since we don't know the outcome, we don't act accordingly. And so I tell people this, Ian, I want you to talk about this. Don't worry about the outcome so much. The outcome will take care of itself. Stop focusing on the outcome and focus on who you need to become, right? So when you were at this place in your life, right, obviously you didn't know you were going to make $100,000 that year. You didn't know you were going to make $1 million, right? You even had some doubt. Where's the next sale going to come from? What's going to go on? Who did you have to become besides mindset? How did you break some of the, obviously you said laziness, this, that. What are some of the things you had to do to become the Ian you had to become, to break through that laziness, that quitting, and those things that you were going through?
Yeah, it ultimately, going back to that formula, T-bar, thoughts, beliefs, actions, results, right? If you want to change what you're doing long range, you want to change your results long range, permanent, lasting, autonomous change, automatic change, right? Like, it's no harder for a winner to win than it is for a loser to lose. They got the same amount of time, and it's a byproduct of what they do every single day, right? And it's just moving them inch by inch in the direction of their eventual outcomes, right? And so what I had to do is I had to change everything about how I thought and believed, right? And what you were talking about there, the renewing of your mind, Napoleon Hill calls it auto-suggestion. And that is actually, there's two ways you move a thought into a belief. Repetition or auto-suggestion, that's what you're talking about. God talks about that, renewing your mind, or emotional anchoring. I want you to think back, Coach JC, to one of your earliest memories. Okay, I can remember a few of them, and they tend to be like traumatic in some way, right? A fight, a car accident, something that wasn't good, our earliest memories. And like, I can't remember what I ate for dinner yesterday, but I can remember those like I'm standing there.
Yeah.
Because the emotional amplitude in my life was so high that whatever was going on around it got imprinted.
Come on.
Right? And so we can change our believing by repetition or by emotional anchoring, right? And so ultimately, here's what most people do. They look at their outcome and they say, I don't like this. This isn't good. Who's to blame? And they're blaming the government, and they're blaming their parents, and they're blaming the church, and they're blaming their ex, and they're blaming their lack of opportunity, right? And when we're trying to fix inside things with outside solutions, we never get the answer that we're looking for. And so we just stay frustrated. What I had to understand was this outcome is a perfect product of the thinking and beliefs and actions that I did to create it. I couldn't recreate it better if I tried 1,000,000 times. It's literally the perfect outcome. If I want to change the outcome, I first got to change the thinking. And that means new information, new sources. For me, it was the scriptures, then it was mentors, then it was books. Listen, your very best thinking has got you to the moment you're at today. And if you like where you are, if it's everything you've ever dreamed, congratulations, keep doing it. If you're like me and you're like, no, there's more. Yeah. There's more. There's these areas that aren't good. There's things here that I know I'm supposed to live at a higher level, to have a greater standard. Well, if that's true, then our current thinking and our belief systems in that area need to change. And so what I did is I sought out the people and the things that had what I wanted. And I asked this question: how do they think differently than I think? Where are their beliefs divergent from mine? And today we have a belief, somebody has a belief, we just fight about it, right? And some of you are mad at, offended with, and in fights with the people who are supposed to be taking you to the next level, but you can't receive from them because you're offended that they think or believe differently than you. That's probably where you need your thinking upgraded the most. Right? And look, it was just a humility, like, I don't know it all. And today, Coach JC, I don't know it all. Look, we've been really blessed. We've had a lot of success in a lot of areas. It's been awesome. I know less today, I feel like, than I did when I started out. I want to learn from the people who have created what I want. New thinking, new inputs, new raw data to challenge our limiting beliefs, to challenge what we think about ourselves, to challenge the way we think the world works, right? And when we have new inputs, we can have new outcomes. See, the man who loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. And if all we're concerned about is the outcomes, that's great. But like you said, we're not necessarily guaranteed those. But what we can do is we can look at the inputs. We can look at the things that people did daily, their thoughts, their beliefs, their daily habits, and we can begin to emulate those. And if we learn to love the process, the outcome is going to take care of itself. If your dream is here and you're over here, okay, and you're doing something every day to move in that direction, over a period of time, you are going to close the gap between you and your dream. Period. And if you stop or if you turn the other way, it's going to go in a different direction, right?
Man, bro, you listen, I could touch on so many things. Obviously, for time, I want to respect your time. If you're listening right now, there's some of you that need to hit pause and go rewind just that last 3, 4, 5 minutes that Ian just talked about, because I believe that alone can change your life. Ian, you know, we start when people have, so one of the things that separated me in the fitness industry initially and then personal development is I do dig a little deeper, right? We talk about identity a lot and mindset, and we have a whole mental conditioning program, but there is, I believe everybody's born a winner, right? And we talked about this on your podcast. We're taught to lose, right? And we adopt these limiting beliefs. And so there's something I go through. It's called the MVP process, right? With everybody, right? And so after we know who, right, who you are, the MVP process, it just stands for mission, right? Vision, and then principles or promise, right? And so the mission is the purpose side of it, the why, right? And so I want you to talk about that for a second. You know, obviously you were a worship leader. There was a strong purpose. You were serving God. You were doing your thing. You were in love with it. There was passion behind it, right? How did you, you know, obviously you went to ministry in a new level, but you're making this money now. You're in the financial industry. You're not doing worship any longer. What became your purpose? Because here's what I do know. Sometimes the purpose is just to make money to survive. For me, there was a season. My purpose was I have to make money, but there was still that strong why that I dug deeper what that money was going to do for me. And it was to fight to be a dad to get custody of my daughter. And so for you, what was the purpose at that time that drove you? Because we know this, the vision's the destination, right? We know we want to make money. We could be we could talk about that all day, but without that purpose, that why, that's what allowed you to get off the couch. That's what allowed you to break the laziness, all these things. There was something inside of you, right? What was the fire? What was the why? What was the strong reasons, the must for you that drove you during that time? Was it just making money, or was there something deeper?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. And one of the things I always love to say is most people lie about their why, right? That they say that they're motivated by all these things. But dude, if you cared about building wells over here or shelters over there, you'd be crushing it bigger than you're crushing it now, most likely, right? And so your why does not need to be some sort of altruistic thing. It just needs to be true for you. And in the beginning, my why was to not be broke anymore. I was tired of being poor. It was negatively affecting every area of my life. And so that was my why. That was my why to begin with. Now, as you grow, your whys grow. They adapt, they change as the world. I didn't have kids when I started, right? Today, that's a huge reason why I do what I do. And listen, we've been blessed. We haven't had to work in a long time, but I still work probably harder than most anybody that I know. And why? Because I want my kids to be able to see their dad work. I want them to know where it all came from. I want them to understand what it looks like, right? I don't want to leave something to them. I want to leave something in them, right? And so it's evolved over time, starting from I need to not be broke to I need to prove all those people that told me I couldn't, I wouldn't, I shouldn't, wrong.
Yeah.
Then you start winning and you get some people hating on you and all that. And then for a while it was like, well, I'm going to go and prove them wrong. And then it was once you started believing in yourself, like, I want to be the best at this. I want to be the best. I want to be great. I want to be somebody. Then it became, I want to move to something where my influence is bigger and I'm making a difference in more people's lives, because when you're winning, that's great. When your win unlocks the wins of others,
Come on.
That is legacy and purpose. There's no amount of money, no title, no award, no publisher, nothing that electrifies you like somebody else's life being changed because you were willing to change your own, right? That they could hear yes because you didn't say no, right? And so then it began to be about that. And now for me, it's really about legacy. What are people going to say about me 1,000 years from now? Will I disappear off the planet 100 years after I've lived like basically everybody else, right? Like, what's your great grandpa's name? He lived long enough to apparently have kids, probably a swell guy, but we don't know, right? And I read something once that struck me, said everybody dies twice, and this spiritually it's not correct, but it's a great analogy, right? We all die twice. The first is when we die, and the second is the last time somebody ever says our name. Right. And I don't want that to be for a long time. You know, in my book, I talk about 3 levels of motivation: material, respect and recognition, and legacy. And they're all good and they're all useful at different times, right? But when you have when you have the house, Coach JC, the house doesn't motivate you anymore.
Yeah.
When you got all the awards, when you are somebody, that doesn't motivate you anymore. And it becomes, what are you going to leave behind? How big is that shadow? What's the impact that you're going to be left with? And you look at guys like, look at Elon Musk right now. Elon Musk is a guy playing in legacy only. He's the richest guy on the planet. Everybody loved him 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago. And here's a guy now that's like, you know what? I don't need any more money. I don't care what y'all think about. I've proven it, right? I send rockets to Mars. I have electric cars. We're good. Now I'm playing for, let's put civilization on another planet. Let's make sure the planet here has free speech. Let's make sure that these things are better. That's a guy playing at legacy. And so for me, it's shifted. And for everybody listening right now, listen, I want to give you permission to run with the why you have. You just want to not be broke anymore. God bless you. God, that's okay. You don't need to save the children right now. That'll come. Yep. At some point, you'll stop living for you, but it's okay. Wherever you are, whatever God's put in your heart right now, you need to run with that. I see so many people that, man, I don't know if they feel like, gosh, it's selfish what I want, or I don't know if I want to tell people that or whatever. No, like whatever it is that's firing you up right now, run with that and allow yourself to mature and grow it as you go.
Bro, it's huge, man. You mentioned your book multiple times with some awesome content that I think people need right now. Here's what I'm going to do. If you're listening right now and you message me on Instagram, okay, the Coach JC, with your biggest takeaways of this episode, I am going to invest. I'm going to do 7 books. I'm going to buy 7 books of Ian's books, and then I'm going to ship them to you with one of my books just to invest in you, to sow a seed, right? But Ian, tell what's the name of the book? How can they find the book?
Sure. Yeah. So the name of the book is called Byproduct, 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 not like buy something, but byproduct is what you get when you thought you were going to get something else, right? Yep. And the idea of the book is our lives are a byproduct. Our results are just a byproduct of our thinking. The real work is in the thinking and believing, and then the actions and the results come after that. So you can get it on Amazon or Walmart or Target, wherever you get books online, and go grab a copy of that. And Coach JC, I appreciate you doing that. And here's the thing that I'd love to tell people. I actually have a masterclass on that book, right? Because listen, how many of you have read a book and you're like, that's amazing, and then we don't do anything from the book? Yeah. It's like, okay, well, that wasn't so helpful. So this is about, listen, your results aren't going to change until you change. You're going to change from the inside out, thinking first and then believing. There's a process and a system to create that change. And so I put together a masterclass on that. And anybody that's interested, I'm going to give you a free lesson out of that masterclass. Like Coach JC said, if you find me on Instagram at Ian Prukner, send me a DM and just send me the DM free. And I'd be happy to give you a free lesson from the masterclass that goes along with that book, because I believe it's going to help you change your life in a big way, like the information changed mine.
Love it. Thank you for doing that. So let's talk this, man, as we bring this show to an end. Obviously, we could talk all day, man. I love who you are. I love who you're becoming. I love what you're doing. Obviously, you've had massive success. And I want you to, this is not from a bragging perspective. That's not why I'm doing this, but I believe the word of God says you overcome by the blood of the Lamb. That's what he did for us, right? And then the word of your testimony. And so as I shared my testimony, I was able to overcome. And today we shared a little of your testimony. But I also believe that when you share your testimony, there's people that listen or hear, and it becomes that spark. It becomes the one thing they needed, the inspiration, the motivation, the empowerment to say, I'm getting off the fence. I'm not going to be a spectator any longer, but I'm going to lace them up and get in the game. So I want you just to, rattle off some of the stuff you've done, like the successes you've had to inspire and motivate people from going from $30,000 struggling financially, lazy, quitting, like the limit, to now what you've done, what you've built, and what you're doing now. But I just want you to inspire people. I want people to say, wow, God's no respecter of person. If he did it for Ian, he can do it for me. And so take a moment to share that with the people, not to impress them. I want it to impress them. It should, but to impress upon them that they can do the same.
Yeah. That's so good. And I hope that you hear my heart on this. Is that it's not to brag to you in any way, but to impress upon you that you can do the same thing if you want to. And I always tell people, I sort of feel like a turtle on a fence post. I didn't get there by myself. You know what I mean? I've had so many great people. My wife is she's my biggest champion, my biggest cheerleader. And she invested in me when I didn't invest in me. She believed in me when I didn't. I had so many great mentors. I had so much surrounding me that lifted me up and built me up. And then, you know, God, man, I mean, my goodness, he took me from a wretch like me and has made something pretty amazing. And so I just want you to hear that. I mean, like Coach JC, I tell people I've lived 15 lifetimes in the last 10 years. We've been to the great places of the world. We've been able to homeschool our kids since they were, you know, basically born. They've traveled everywhere. We've stayed in the greatest places. We've watched them grow up. We've been able to influence them more than anybody else in their life. They dream big dreams because of what we've been able to do. We live in the greatest place on earth. I'm in Siesta Key, Florida right now. I have a little bit of a private beach right out here on the Gulf of Mexico. You know, I've got a penthouse in Costa Rica right on the Pacific Ocean. You know, we were able to build our dream house a couple of years ago. Retired parents. We've been able to do all sorts of things. We've opened numbers of orphanages in India. We've been able to be a blessing to just so many different people. You know, we just had a hurricane down here in Florida by my name, so I'm somewhat famous regionally here. Hurricane Ian. And it was supposed to hit Siesta Key, direct hit. It was a category 5 to 4 or 5, depending on where it hit. It hit south of us, 30 miles south of us. Dude was just devastated. We were spared. And we spent, you know, because time and money aren't issues for us, we were able to spend pretty much an entire week, a friend of mine and our family, buying generators and driving them into these places that were crushed and setting them up in people's homes and water and food and just being the hands and feet of Jesus. You know, FEMA's fantastic, you know, but they got a few people trying to get to a lot of people. We just drove down, and I mean, it was amazing to be able to just go and give back without having to worry about that, you know, and you know, the stuff's fantastic. Being able to help people's fantastic. You know what the coolest part of it is to be able to look back at Ian from 17 years ago, overweight, unhappy, lazy, no vision, no sense of purpose or calling, and to be able to look back and be able to tell that, Ian, we did it.
Come on, brother.
We did it. All the things you were worried about, all the things you thought you weren't, all the things you thought disqualified you.
Come on.
They didn't disqualify you. They actually set you up to be where you are right now. And so if I could tell you anything listening right now to help you get off the fence, 10 years from now, the 10-year older you is going to look back at the you that you are today, listening to this right now, is going to tell you the same thing. You did it.
Come on.
Did it. All the stuff you thought and you let stop you for so long ended up being nothing. And look at you now. Look at you now, proud and successful and happy and making a difference in living your purpose. Get off the fence, take action, start retraining the way you think so you can change the way you believe. When you change what you believe, you'll change what you do. And when you change what you do, you're going to change what you get. And there's a lot more for you than you're living. Some of you are living great right now and you've had such blessing. And let me tell you something, what's coming for you in the future, you haven't even scratched the surface. You're about to enter a season that's so much bigger, so much better, so much more meaningful and impactful than anything that you've been a part of so far.
I love it, bro. Thanks for sharing that. And I love your heart for people. I think the coolest thing is God prepared you in ministry and then just put you into a new season of ministry, right? Ministry doesn't mean you're in a church, right? It's not about the 4 walls you're in. Think about all the lives that you've changed through you taking that step, being obedient, taking a risk possibly, but think about all the lives, all the ministry you've done outside of the church walls, right? And so I think it's so cool. So tell us this as we close the show, Ian. Is there any you're mentoring, you're consulting, you're doing some really cool things to help people create financial freedom and get their money working for them on the online space, real estate online, right? And so where do you want to lead people? Where could they go? Where could they find you? You know, if there's people that are different levels listening to the show, right? Give them some opportunity to have access to you or your programs or something you're doing that may help
absolutely.
them get to the next level, brother?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So let's start here. Just go follow me on Instagram. Every day I'm putting out stuff that's going to help you with bread for the head, going to help you get your mind right so you can get your life right. Okay. So follow me on Instagram at Ian Prukner. Be careful. At any given time, there's 5 to 15 people impersonating me. That's the right one. It's bad. I'm never going to DM you talking to you about WhatsApping me money for cryptocurrency. It's never going to happen. Okay. So make sure that you got that down. Follow me on Instagram. Okay. And you grab my book. That's a great place to start. Grab my book, listen to the podcast. There's so much great free resource available or very inexpensive resource. I've tried to put out an enormous amount of stuff. For those of you who want to go deeper and you're like, you know what, I'm ready to go to the next level. Again, DM me the word free on Instagram. I'll send you a free lesson from that masterclass. If you like it, consider grabbing it. I promise you the exercises you do in there will change your life. It's exactly what I did to change my thinking and my belief sets from making 27 grand a year to being able to make, last year was 7 point something and change, I think is what we ended up netting out at when it was all said and done. It's exactly what I did to do that. And the processes that I've learned. And so grab that free lesson and dive into that. And man, I'm excited to watch you win to be a little part of your success. It's going to be amazing.
Come on, brother. Well, I'm so honored, man. Is there anything else? I always like to give a guest this opportunity before we close. Is there anything that we didn't get to share? Is there anything that's on your heart? I just want to make sure I covered what I wanted to cover. I wanted to share you with my audience. I love who you are. I love your heart for people. I love the fact that honestly, like there's a few people in my life that like an Ed Milet, right? I think of a Bobby Castro, a guy like you that like you said, you don't have to work another day in your life, right? But it's about legacy. And now I look at those guys. I talk to them on Instagram all the time, and I'm like, they're working harder now than they did to create the financial freedom because it's so purpose driven, and there's such a mission to help other people and separate other people. And we're doing that as well in our equity with purpose real estate deals, where we bring a person in every deal, and then our investors match it to get them involved in real estate, where we can show them the compounding interest and cash flow to change the financial situation in our lives. And so I love your heart, man, and who you are. And I just look forward to doing life with you and helping people win. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful you took the time to invest into our Win All Day family and the people listening and watching today. But is there anything else, Ian, before we close that is on your heart that you want to share or we missed today on the show?
You know what? I just want to honor you. And I want to thank you for the community that you built and the leader that you are, right? Because that's really a testament to what you've overcome, to who you have become, and more importantly, where you're going and who you're becoming. And so I do want to honor you. And I just want to tell everybody listening, right? You've got a great leader, a great mentor, a great coach here at Coach JC, and his energy and his heart for people and his head on the right shoulders going in the right direction. There are a lot of people out there today giving advice who want to be somebody, who are coaching and mentoring, and they're mentoring people off a dadgum cliff, right? And you're not. You have a proven track record going in the right direction with God at the center. And that's so important and so rare. So thank you for being you. Thank you for the honor to be able to speak to your group and your community today. It's an honor. God bless you all. Thank you so much for your time and listening today.
All day, man. I appreciate you sharing out. Much love. All right, Ian, we end every show like this, man, with our guests. I would love for you to say, I am Ian Prukner. I am a winner. I will win and win all day. So you'll say, I am Ian Prukner. I am a winner. I will win and win all day.
I am Ian Prukner. I'm a winner. I will win and I'll win all day. Bam.
Yes, you are. Let's go, baby. Hey, thanks again. This is Coach JC. And that concludes this episode of the Win All Day podcast with my friend Ian Prukner. Who loves you? We love you. And I want to remind you one last time that you were born a winner. So go in and win all day. We'll get at you guys next time.